Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Webb. I am Neptune Theatre's artistic director. It is my pleasure to be with you on this Thursday evening. Off the Leash is our way of staying in touch with our audiences, our subscribers, our donors, our sponsors, just people that want to hang out for a little while of an evening, mid-evening, and talk theater. We've had a lot of fun over the last few weeks, and I'm very excited by tonight's show because even though I cannot yet book the show for Neptune Theatre, I can at least bribe people, persuade people into joining us here in this show. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited that tonight is a Come From Away special. Now, I have some folks joining us in just a few seconds from a number of productions and some of the creators of the show, as you are probably aware. But I thought I'd play a little teaser off the top to get us in the mood. But rather than playing a teaser from New York or Toronto, I thought I'd visit my home country and play the teaser from the UK. Even watching that small clip gives me goosebumps and makes me crave going back to the theater to see live performance. But in the meantime, let's bring in my guests this evening. Here they all come. I'll bring them in, then we will introduce them collectively. Look at them all. So many people in the room. We have Michael Rubinoff, one of the originating producers, Astrid Van Wieren from the Broadway New York cast, George Masswohl from the Toronto cast, and Irene Sankoff and David Hine, the creators of Come From Away. Welcome to you all.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
It's so good to see you. Thanks for being here. I am a fan of this show. To say I'm a fan of this show is like an understatement. I went to see it way later than I should have as the artistic director of a Canadian theater. It was embarrassing, in fact. And I saw it in New York. And I must admit, knowing that I was going a few months ahead, I decided not to read anything more about it. I sat in the audience, I watched you, Astrid, along with all of your amazing castmates and colleagues create that show. And I must admit, this is the embarrassing part, I did not know it was a one-act show. And as it was going on, I was sitting there going, well, this is amazing. This is so freaking great. Well, now they're getting back on the Act 2 must be about the return journey, because I know they went back. Act 2 is about now we're all clapping and now we're all standing and we're crying and we're leaving. We're leaving. It's a one-act show. It was the best piece of idiocy I've ever done.
It's so wonderful, though. And it's so wonderful that you wanted there to be a part 2. That's
yeah.
Fantastic. You should always leave them wanting more. So
it made you come back.
I came back and saw you in it, George. I know. Anyway, that's enough about me. What I want to know, though, and initially, I guess, is first, where are you? Are you safe? And how are you doing? We'll just fly around the room. Michael, you go first, and then we'll get into
I'm in Toronto. I'm doing great. I just want to say my love to the people of Nova Scotia right now. You know, our hearts are with you. You know, day 546 of quarantine and staying strong.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you. It's no doubt it was a crazy situation, made even more heartbreaking and crazy last weekend. And the saying is Nova Scotians are strong, and I've watched it for the last 22 years of being in this country, but I've never seen resilience in a community coming together like we're watching right now. Astrid, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I am in my home in Leslieville in Toronto with my cat Maggie and my good friend John. And, you know, strangely enough, these days have been very full and busy, although I don't know which day I'm on. Every day is Blur's Day. But there's been lots of reaching out to do different videos. And it's nice to just keep keep one's hand in and keep connected with people, especially people who love Come From Away so much. It's nice to kind of be able to put that performative energy somewhere, not just into a kettlebell workout, but actually into communicating with people. So
absolutely. And I think I was going to say this later, but it's so strange that of all the times that we need to see Come From Away, this is it.
Yeah.
The
We're
message.
coming together by staying apart. Really.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Irene and David, I feel like I'm cheating you out of your own individual screens, but
We're used to it.
good to see. I know. How are you both?
We're doing good. Homesick for our home and our friends in New York, but
We're in Toronto.
We're in Toronto.
Right.
Yes, we're in the west end of Toronto with our daughter and our 2 cats and a friend of ours, and just taking it one day at a time. And really love being able to get together with people and talk and do whatever we can to help the days pass.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of trying to find PPE equipment and coordinating with there's some amazing groups out there. The Sewing Army. We've been talking to
all theater people.
Yeah, IAT seat stores, and but also friends who have 3D printers who are printing face shields and ear protectors, and been doing some delivering. And just trying to do what Newfoundlanders would do in this, or Nova Scotians, or Canadians. What Canadians do.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Canadians, George Masswohl. I don't know. That's all I had. How are you, George?
That's all you have.
That's all I have for you, my friend.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm really glad to know that Astrid and Dave and Irene are home. I'm glad to know that you're home. I think that makes everybody feel better. Me certainly. And I'm only a few blocks from Astrid, I think, probably. I'm in Riverside, which is just adjacent to Leslieville in Toronto. And I'm home with my partner, Deneen, and my stepson, Logan, and we're doing okay. We're hanging in there. They're both Newfoundlanders, so they're very homesick. And that is a big deal. It's a big thing to manage because there's so much about living in Newfoundland that it offers so much in terms of escape to nature and so on and so forth that we just can't access here. It's so difficult to access, especially now with everything closed. But we're doing it. We're figuring it out.
We are. It's great to see you all. I want to take you back, if I can, as you probably imagined I would, back to the beginning. What was the beginning of it for you? I'm assuming it began with Irene and David, of course. What was that first germ of an idea? How did that first appear on your radar and become something that you wanted to create?
Well, so part of our experience started being New Yorkers over 9/11. We were living down there from '99 to 2002, and so our experience there was horrific, but also we lived in a residence for international graduate students. So there was people from 110 countries from around the world, 700 residents there, and in response to what happened in New York, people came over to our door and knocked on it to make sure we were okay. We came together as a community. There were musicians who played music for everyone. We were working on theater shows at the time, and our memories of that were New York coming together, using theater to bring people out and to support New York. And so when 10 years later, when we were talking to Michael Rubinoff, who came to our show, My Mother's Lesbian Jewish Wiccan Wedding. Mm-hmm. That was our first musical. And Michael invited us out for dinner and introduced us to the story of Come From Away. And
so, Michael, tell me a little bit about what it was that attracted you to that story, and then how you became involved, and what you did for the nurturing and the growth of Come From Away as we know it now.
Well, it was so inspiring and powerful what the people of Newfoundland and specifically Gander and the surrounding towns did at that time, that outpouring of humanity. Just every time you read those stories, you were so moved by them. And as, you know, somebody looking to produce new musicals, I sort of felt this was a compelling story. And, you know, Newfoundlanders, that's how they tell stories, is through music. So thought that this could be a musical. There was a lot of people that didn't share that idea. But after, as David said, I went to see my mother's lesbian Jewish Wiccan wedding and was just blown away by it. And David, I don't know, you know, David at the end of that show, at least when I saw it, but I'm sure you did this every night, made this plea for Canadian musicals that we didn't know each other. And I loved the show. And then this plea you made at the curtain call about supporting Canadian musicals was just really powerful, because people weren't talking like that back then. And reached out to them. You know, we had this, you know, I call it our first date, the three of us, and, you know, said, hey, you know,
Now married.
Yeah, exactly. had this, you know, there's this great story, and, you know, could be a musical. And, you know, they were like, that sounds really interesting, and sort of went away. And at the time I was leaving, fast forward a few months, I was leaving the day-to-day practice of law and going to Sheridan College, and knew I wanted to start a development program, which was the Canadian Music Theatre Project, and said, you know, the first show we'd love to develop is Come From Away. I mean, it wasn't even called that then. But there's the kids at Sheridan from the student production. But, and then they went, and there's that first presentation. There's David in the background playing guitar. Those first presentations, but they went off. They can pick up the story. What was amazing was they dove right in, and everything seemed to coincide with going to Gander on the 10th anniversary. And I'll let them take over. But I remember them going to Gander, and we would check in every few days. And I remember you guys would be like, "Hey, you know, we met Beverly Bass, or we met, you know, Diane, or we met Nick," and it like these were like celebrities, you know, like they were huge names in our world, and just hearing from David and Irene, who you guys seem to be living that spirit when you were there.
Yeah. And honestly, in terms of meeting celebrities, you know, 90% of the time it can be a little disappointing. Oh my God, not when we met these guys. You know, they were everything you thought they would be, and better. So it was, yeah, we were at one point, Michael being like, "Are you guys coming home?" And we're like,
Yeah, it was so amazing. Like literally everyone invited us into their house. Everyone, and everyone told us a million stories. So it was Newfoundland storytelling. You know, we couldn't write them down fast enough. We had to. We couldn't figure out. We started writing them down, and then we were like, "Do our phones record? How do these phones?" You know, it was a long time ago. Yeah, and so we just devoured everything we possibly could. We read every newspaper article we could. We photocopied every letter that had been sent back from places. We toured all around. We fell in love and made friends with everyone out there. We're just saying that, you know, most authors, you know, if you're writing about something real, you will interview people, but most people probably won't get screeched in with the characters in their show. And so we got screeched in at Beulah's Legion by Claude with Nick and Diane and Beverly and her husband Tom, and just came back and wanted to tell their story.
Yeah.
And then they, you know, you came back with, you know, 16,000 stories. Like it seemed like hundreds of hours, and it was just, you know, at Sheridan, it was our studio production slot. It was like, let's do 45 minutes, and the students, you know, I'll never forget. We had Sweeney Todd on our main stage, and then the students were auditioning for this thing called Come From Away, and off you guys went, and it was extraordinary.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm curious about, just seeing the picture of those Sheridan students, have any of them, because that was a number of years ago now, have any of them ever ended up in one of the casts of the shows, or is that yet to come? Is that a joy yet to happen?
Can I just tell this story? Almost. So Amir Hayder is a standby in Toronto. I just mentioned Sweeney Todd. He was playing Sweeney Todd. Like he won the jackpot, right? Because nobody knew what this Newfoundland Come From Away thing was at that time. So he played Sweeney Todd. He came to watch his peers in the show of the Come From Away presentation, cried and cried and cried, said to David and Irene, I want to, this is going to go somewhere, like, please cast me as a tree. And everyone's like, ha, 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 you know, glad you enjoyed it. And I will never forget being in Toronto, seeing Amir go on for one of his first performances, as one of the Kevins, and just hearing his voice, and I just wept. It was such a beautiful, moment.
And I have to, if I can jump in for a second, I remember that moment as well. And Michael might have been weeping, but I was terrified because all I could see was Sweeney Todd coming at me.
Yeah.
I can't believe for 1 second, George, though, that you haven't played Sweeney Todd in your time, so you could have probably matched him.
I can't remember it. Maybe once. I'm not sure.
You've sung it.
Once or twice.
So, okay, we'll come back to, I want to come back to a bit about the creation as well, a little bit later if we can. I'm conscious of the time. I'm so eager to talk to you all, and for as long as possible. So we're going to serve breakfast in about 6 hours. So, Astrid.
Full English.
Yeah, full English. That's all I have. What are you talking
Bangers
about?
and mash.
Bangers and mash.
Plus tout.
Bubble and squeak. Astrid, tell me a little bit about how the show came into your life, and how it continues to be in your life, and what.
Well, this follows on almost directly from what we're talking about now, because I did David and Irene's first show, My Mother's Lesbian Jewish Wiccan Wedding, and I loved doing that show. I mean, there's a kind of a long story about how I got into that show, but we'll save that for another day. But I went to see, because I fell in love with David and Irene, as people do. They're some of the best people you could ever know. And so when they were doing this Come From Away, it was being presented at, I don't even know what the theater's called now. It was called the Panasonic then. It's the same place we did My Mother's Lesbian Jewish Wiccan Wedding. And so I went to see the presentation by the students, and there was an intermission at the time. So you would have had your intermission, Jeremy, if you had come then. And at intermission, I remember going up to David and Irene and jokingly saying, "Well, listen, when this gets to Broadway, I want to play Diane." So not thinking for a moment that those things would happen, although it seemed possible that this musical could go somewhere, because it just had so much heart. And as much as it's changed over the years in development, it's always had the same spine and the same heart. And so it was pretty damn exciting to have seen that early version. And the students were phenomenal, and the piece, it was all there. So to actually get to be in the show, words fail me. It's been a real dream.
Well, what I've noticed,
go to New York with it has been.
One thing I've noticed that I know you all know, well, I know that Michael and Irene and David know, and George and Astrid will probably be humble about it, is what I've noticed online, and even when I was there at various performances, is how much the companies of this show spread love and kindness and the message of the show. And I think, I've worked with a lot of artists and companies that do a bit of that, and they dabble in that. But this seems to be part of the package of being in this show. Is the people seem to want to interact with the community and spread love. George, you want to tell me a little bit about the thinking behind that?
Well, it comes from they're over there on my screen, but it comes right from those guys, because you can't. Okay, so first of all, I thought about this a while ago when they were speaking, but David and Irene, you can't find a better, they have from the beginning used this platform for good always, and they together talked about sourcing PPE. Look, these are people who have just pretend you're not listening to me right now. These are people who have come into a world where they have excellent and incredible connections and are able to make things happen and move mountains. And they do it quietly. And we follow that lead. I think Astrid will probably agree. We all just follow that lead. And we follow the lead of the people that we play. And we know the people that we play. We understand them because we've gotten to know them and we're friends with them. And we feel a remarkable responsibility to them. And that's also one of the reasons that we're able to keep doing it time in and time out and day after day, and loving it every time as much as we do. I mean, I've done shows for a really long time. I've just surpassed my record with this one, and I'm not even close to being done with it. I mean, it offers us so much opportunity to check off boxes that we didn't even know we had. It's a show that it's a piece of theater. It's a piece of it's an opportunity to communicate with the world on a different plane, and that has not come along, I think, ever, as far as I know, in terms of our industry. So for me, I mean, my origin story, since you didn't ask, has come out of it kind of. For me, it kind of came out of left field at a really interesting part of my life when I was moving away from this industry into something else, where I was trying to put my efforts into more community service and public service. And then this came in, and then I had a decision to make, and it was a no-brainer, because this connects with people every time we go out there and do it. From the second, I cannot wait for the downbeat to step out on and reclaim the Royal Alex stage for those audiences that are yearning for this story, that are craving this kind of feel of inspiration, and to look at themselves and to look back on what they will have done during this crisis by that time, and how they will have acted with respect to their neighbors and their community. I can't wait for that. I don't know how I'll get through that opening speech. I really don't, but I will. I'll walk out there and I will deliver it with pride. And as you said, humility always. And Claude will be right here and right here the whole time.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question even? What did you ask?
I have no idea what I asked, but I really enjoyed that wine-fueled, emotional love fest of a speech.
That's all there is.
And you know what? I should mention, George, the reason I didn't ask about, where you got your big break is because I have photos of that from just a short while ago, because I just want to check, have any of the rest of you ever worked at Neptune? You have, David, thank goodness.
Yeah. I was the assistant set and lighting designer for The Attic, The Pearls, and Three Fine Girls.
What a beautiful show.
Yeah, wow. Years and years and years ago. It was the only time I've ever been to Halifax, and I loved it like crazy, and it was a great experience.
How did that happen? How'd you end up doing that? Sorry, Jeremy, can you just take 5?
So I have a set and lighting design degree from York University, and I was doing that for a while, and somehow I got connected to Danny Lynn and got sent out to Halifax. And I thought it was the best thing in the world, because I had always wanted to go to the East Coast and be there. And so I can't wait for the next time I get to go there and come from away there someday.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Because I happen to know a man with a venue.
This is all about
nothing.
This is all about that.
Look, as you know, I'm sure you hear this from every artistic director across the country, across the world. There is not a single day in my life when I don't have people coming up to me in the grocery store. And I kid you not, I don't go to the grocery store very much at all now, but I'm wearing a mask, so I'm protected. But before this, there was not a day when somebody said, "Yeah, you know what you should do?" And it always starts like that. Yeah. And I will always say, "No, what? You come from away."
Can we get him a come from away mask? Can we get him a logo mask at least?
Can we just get me something? Can we get me the rights to the show? No. Okay. I promised I wouldn't do that to you. But every day, and so I know that my subscribers, my audience that are watching this, of course, there's probably somebody in the comment section that's already asked, when are we getting it? So we all long for the day when your beautiful piece gets to open up a little and it isn't tied into its existing runs and tours. And I know that will happen one day. And I am not leaving Neptune Theatre until I get this frickin' show on that frickin' stage, because it is perfect for Neptune.
The incredible thing about this show is that even if your audience, even if 100% of your audience has seen it in New York and Toronto and on tour and London and Australia, they will still come.
Yes.
They will still pack your theater.
Yeah. So George, getting back to your origins at Neptune Theatre, I know that you've been here before.
Oh my goodness!
Ooh, that's amazing.
You look so cute in that dress.
Yellow is my color.
We had to shoehorn him into that every night, and of course, then he did have some help from a certain British actor. Back in the days when he acted.
Listen, I'm a large man, and I've always been a large man. But I was about I think I lost 70 pounds doing that show for a variety of reasons, but the big one was that costume. I lost 5 pounds a show.
Yeah, that costume was wet.
Yeah, it was wet.
It was wet. Your performance was crystal clear and bone dry.
Also wet. My favorite thing about that show, my favorite thing of the entire record-breaking run, never bested, I think, at Neptune Theatre. And hey, come on, not yet.
That's awesome. I'm
actually, well,
it's great.
Yeah, Mamma Mia beat it. Sorry.
No, it didn't run as long.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with my guest.
Money, but it didn't run as long.
Okay, you're right. Absolutely right.
At any rate, my favorite thing about that was a couple of us had CDs to sell. Jean Cornoyer had a CD to sell, and I had one. And we went out after the show one night to try and hawk them. And Julie Martel, who was in the yellow dress, Astrid, came out with us for moral support. And nobody sold any CDs. Everybody just wanted to talk to the girl in the yellow dress, which is great. But someone, a mother and her son, were talking to Julie for a second, and they came to me and they said, "And you?" And I'm in the Prince costume at the end. I've transitioned. And bear in mind, I was 39 at the time. And this woman said to me, "Oh my God, we love this show so much. And you know what the most hilarious part was?" And I said, "Was it the dancing fork or the cheese grater?" And they said, "No, it's when you transitioned from the Beast to the Prince and you were so old." How come none of you are laughing? You're just cringing uncomfortable.
I'm just, you know what it is? I'm just thinking of all the comments I've had that resonate. So it's all good. And it's, you know, that came from love. So,
well, okay, we're going down a rabbit hole now here. The things that people will say to you that feel that they can say to you.
I came off stage, just to tie in, and then we'll get back to you guys and your show. But I came off stage from the same stage, having just played the Scottish King in a 3-week run. I was quite proud of myself, full of myself, let's say. And I came out of the stage door, and this woman came up to me and she said, "Oh, you were amazing. You were amazing." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much." And I was acting humble, and she said, "Yeah, you were amazing as the clock." And
to be fair, you were.
Yeah.
I'm sure that.
Yeah. We've got some messages coming in.
Hi, Diane.
Hey, Diane.
All right. This one is, oh, there we go.
Oh.
Yeah, Erica.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Oh, come on. Happy birthday.
Yeah, I think I also was coming down up rather to Toronto. This weekend, finally got tickets for Hamilton, and we were going to squeeze in a Come From Away the same weekend, George. And, there we go. Let's fly through these.
Hannah's great. Kimberly, thank you for coming many times.
Yeah.
Hi, Catherine. I don't know you, but hi.
There's a lot of messages on there. We'll read them all later. We've touched on a number of the things I wanted to ask you. Astrid, you've managed to find some time during your time with Come From Away to do some other projects as well. I'm thinking you made a film. You did a film.
I did make a film. It's called The River You Step In, and we're still waiting for it to get into a festival here or there. So, when the festivals are up and running again, maybe we can take it to Halifax. The only time I've ever been to Halifax was actually to make a film, a Christmas movie. I've done a few Christmas movies, and I can't remember. I think it's called Will You Marry Me? Or
probably
Christmas
like Mary.
Story, like Mary, Merry. But the interesting thing is I got a letter from Jackie Good, Leon Cole's was Leon's wife. I sent her a letter because I was just writing letters to people, and she sent me back a letter, and she said that actually they kept the ice rink that the film crew had created just for the film, but that now it's actually something that gets made every year, and that people will skate on it. So that's kind of cool.
I'm changing my perspective because Astrid has a poster to promote and behind her, so I'm changing my perspective to include mine.
Hold on, let me just take you into close-up, George, so we can really enjoy it. There we go.
The front of house gave me this when we left the Alex the the first time.
Sweet. I love that.
Actually, I'm just gonna throw to a video to give you all a chance to take a sip of water. Let me just find the right one, because I know that the Toronto production has moved home a couple of times. So there's a short video here that will show us a bunch of faces.
Do it.
From all of us, the band, the cast, all the crew that are coming with us, and all the crew that we're leaving behind, and you, the audiences, thank you so much for having us here at the Elgin. We're moving back now to our original Toronto home, the Royal Alex Theatre.
This time too.
So that's where you are. That's where the show is right now, George. Right? Or not right now, but
Yeah, we're back at the Alex.
Yeah,
I've been going on bike rides every couple of days, and I always
just like that.
I ride by the theater every day.
Yeah.
Just
Do you ride with other cast members 6 feet apart, like they did in the video?
That's exactly what we do.
That's impressive.
We ride hands-free, 6 feet apart, just so we know we're separated. So we're following the guidelines.
I have another question. Irene and David, I know that the show obviously is in New York, Toronto, correct me if I'm wrong, Melbourne, London, Sydney, Australia is still scheduled for August. Am I up to date?
As up to date as we are.
And the national tour. So
The national
I'm
tour.
on the tour, yeah.
5 companies. Yeah.
Are there any other, if you're allowed to tell me, are there any other major centers that are sniffing around at the moment other than Halifax, Nova Scotia?
So the first.
Well, Astrid, can I throw this to Astrid? Because she has an exciting story about the next show that was supposed to happen for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When everything started to happen, I was actually on vacation in Buenos Aires. I was invited down by the artistic director of a theater company there that is going to be the first Come From Away production done not in English. They are going to be, there's a Spanish speaking production. They've translated the lyrics, the book. I went down and I got to see a bit of rehearsal, and they have exactly the right spirit and heart to tell this story. And when we all sat in a circle and they were all explaining how this story came into their lives at exactly the right moment, it just feels like this heart follows the show wherever it goes. It doesn't matter what language it will be in, it translates. And they're on hold at the moment, but they're all very excited to get back to it as soon as it's responsibly possible to be done. And they're going to really take Buenos Aires by storm. And they treated me like gold while I was down there. I had the best time.
I have to say, and Astrid is the best person to send. Like, honestly, your pictures and your footage from that trip were incredible. And we are all, I'm sure every single person who's involved with the show is watching them with a tiny bit of envy, and also just like a heart full of love for what's being shared and how it's being shared. And I'm in touch with Edgardo, who's playing Claude there, and he doesn't speak English, and I don't speak Spanish, so we're communicating with Google Translate, and we're getting by.
Yeah, I can believe it. He's absolutely going to be a fantastic mayor. Really great.
Yeah, they came up to New York, and we're so wonderful to meet, and we were looking forward to going down for opening night, and we're still looking forward to it when it'll happen eventually.
Yeah,
I happened to take them out for a beer. Didn't really think about it, and as my new friend Mela said, you never know where an act of kindness will take you. And it offered me an opportunity to go and be in a completely different culture, a different country, and it's really, really gorgeous down there in Argentina. It's absolutely stunning, and the people are
How did you when did you leave? Like, there was a bit of overlap. Was there a bit of an iffy period when you were stuck there?
I got the very last flight out of Buenos Aires to New York.
Oh, wow.
The last plane out. Yeah, I was very lucky, very fortunate.
Astrid, I asked if you had any pictures that I was allowed to share, and talking about you meeting people, and I'm going to show this one quickly first, just because you very kindly allowed me to step out for the first time on a Broadway stage, and I must admit I peed a little, actually more than a little.
On the stage?
Yeah, a little bit. It was my first time on a New York stage. I mean, what am I going to do?
Can I tell you, I'm with you on that. And I know David and Irene are this whole journey has been like unbelievable. And I know you were talking about the Royal Alex, and Irene and I are obsessed with Les Mis. And when the show, there you are, when the show, the pre-Broadway got to do the Royal Alex and then the Toronto company, it was like, what world are we living in? To be at the Royal Alexandra Theatre. Well, I was 13, saw Les Mis, made me want to get into the theater, the Canadian company. Irene, I remember us in that just being like, wow, like kind of the kids had the keys to the castle.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yes.
the thing is that come from away's heart will invade whatever theater it is in. But I know that and the Elgin Winter Garden was fantastic. What a great run we had there, and
what a beautiful crew there.
What
fantastic
a beautiful crew.
Yeah,
and just a lovely run. And we're so grateful to have been moved and to have carried on. And
is that how you look when you arrive for work every day?
You know what, Astrid and the gang did.
I'm obsessed. That is I love those pictures.
It was so great. You know what, Astrid? This is a diversion, but Astrid and the gang did that Vanity Fair shoot, which is so magnificent. And Barb Fulton, who plays Diane in Come From Away Toronto, Barb Fulton said, we need something like that. You know, when you're in a show for a long time together and you're 12 people, 18 people, you need something every now and again. And
so
Barbie said, let's do this for ourselves. Let's just do a photo shoot for ourselves. And that's what that is.
Well, you know, Michael likes to get in on the action too.
Oh, there we are.
I look like a sparkly eggplant.
I almost feel like Michael was photoshopped into that picture. You look a little bit.
I think you might have been. Where I was going with my line of questioning, though, was because I wanted to touch on this, that the show also has a big impact on people that come and see it who are maybe, a little more industry weary. That, the celebs come, and I know that I've got a bunch of photos here. There's a huge celebrity here. Look, there's that one.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
I love that picture.
Canada looks photoshopped there. I mean,
yeah, I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Time Daly, she was so sweet.
Now, just so you know, while we show some of these photos that are a different shape to our screen, George, David, if at any point we sort of lean out, people always screenshot this moment. There we go. Unfortunately, Michael is stuck behind it.
I'm behind. That's all right.
There we go. And here's another. Amazing. And is this?
He was so. Oh my God,
Is that Glenda Jackson?
Yes.
Holy moly! What a star!
What a magnificent face!
Wow.
Fantastic.
Glenda looks good too.
And I think the last I was aware of Glenda is that she is now a politician for the Labour Party in the UK. Is she still doing that?
She was for a very long time,
yeah,
and then came out of retirement, came out of Parliament back into acting, and did Three Tall Women in New York, and also Lear. I saw her do both, and she was breathtaking. Oh, my favorite, actually, my absolute favorite, Henry Winkler. He was so kind, so sweet.
Awesome. Look, I just wanted to I've got 1 minute left. If you could sum up for me, Michael, now why it is important that we all embrace theater in whatever form we can get hold of it to get us through this, whether it's listening to CDs of shows, watching streams of shows. I've been watching the weekly Lloyd Webber output. What is it that what can theater do for us right now in this tough time?
Well, it's the brilliance of the people we're on screen with. It brings people together. I mean, we are craving connection more than ever, and nothing creates that more than being together in a room, experiencing something as profound as Come From Away. This is our heartbeat. This is the lifeblood. This is the energy. This is what it means to be human. So I can't wait till those lights get back on. And this theater is really one of the unique things that can truly bring us together.
At Neptune Theatre, we do a fundraising lottery every year. And this year, the prize for some lucky winners was coming to Toronto to see Come From Away and Hamilton, which, of course, is now not going to happen because the prize was going to be drawn very soon. So we've turned it into something a little different. I'm just going to show the audience this to let them know that their tickets are still in for a chance to win. So bear with me. It takes about 15 seconds, I think. Basically, you can do whatever you want with the money. This was the money that the prize package was gonna, and if I won it, I would still come down and see Come From Away and Hamilton when they all fire back up again.
My hand is up.
I want to thank you all for being here and giving at least 12 more minutes than I said that we were going to be. It's so great to see you. It's been great to meet some of you for the first time, digitally at least.
George,
please give me 1 second. Please give me 1 second.
George's got something to say.
Please let me say it, because everybody here is involved in it, except for you, until a second from now. Next week, May 4th and 5th, the Come From Away Toronto company has, for the last 2 years, done a major fundraiser every July for Daffodil Place in St. John's, Newfoundland, which is think Ronald McDonald House. It's like a place where people that come to St. John's for cancer treatment, because St. John's is the only place in Newfoundland and Labrador that you can go if you need cancer treatment, and people don't go because they can't afford it. And
Right.
Daffodil Place makes it possible for them to afford it. And we've been doing the last couple of years a fundraiser for them, but we can't do it live this year, so we're doing it virtually. And it's next week and a half from now, May 4th and 5th. We're going to be streaming it. Watch this space, I suppose, and everyone here is involved in it. So please tune in and give generously, because people are still dying from cancer.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we share that.
To interrupt.
Yeah, no, thank you. We'll make sure we share that link as soon as we know. I've been asked to ask you, Irene and David, what are you working on right now? What's coming? Is there another show or 2 or 6 or 12 coming down the pipe? I know that when I was talking to a British producer about bringing a show from Halifax over there, he said, yeah, we need the next Come From Away. Have you got it? I said, no. So I was like, okay.
So we're working on homeschooling our 6-year-old, which is kind of harder than writing an entire musical. But aside from that, we're working on Come From Away the movie. So the next Come From Away will be hopefully on a different screen. And we have a couple other projects that we are working on as well, which we are not allowed to talk about. But yeah, it's taking a while.
Yeah,
but we're plenty busy, and hopefully there'll be more to share soon.
Awesome. I wanted you to know that I was desperately wanting to know what you were doing next, and it was strange that I hadn't asked you yet. Thank you so much for being here, all of you. It's so great to see your faces. Great to know you're well. I want to thank you for everything that you do, for everyone that you touch with this show and with the work that you do outside the theater as well. It is inspiring. It's inspired me, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to send the people off with another little video clip. If you people hang tight, and I'll come to you at the end. 1 second.
jollies waving from the dock. Heave away, me jollies, heave away. And if we do return to you, we'll make your cradles rock. Heave away, me jolly boys, we're all down the way.
Thanks very much for watching, everyone. And I want to thank Support for Culture for their continued support of many arts organizations in our world, particularly for supporting this project as we try and stay connected with all of you. Thanks for being here, and thank you all again. Bye-bye.
Jeremy,
Thanks,
bye,
Jeremy.
friends.
Bye, friends.
Love you.